Yeah. So I always love to start these with, I would love to hear your 90-second pitch. One, who are you and what does your company do?
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Ashley Fontes, lover of life, builder of the women's soccer game from youth to pro. Been in it from as a player to coach to executive to founder and entrepreneur. Want to open it up and create something super special for people not only in our local community but globally that are really passionate about purpose driven work.
That's awesome. So where are you locally located right now? Where is this where's the company
We are
existing?
in beautiful Tallahassee, Florida. Which people are like,
Nice,
"Oh,
nice.
Florida." Well, it's not the palm trees type part of Florida. It's more like a Southern Georgia type feel.
Uh-huh. What's the let's go back. Let's talk about this origin story. Obviously, I know you had to have played soccer, but how do you start to put together an idea for a team for this sort of the academy? How does it start to kind of come together? What's the origin story of all of this?
I love a good origin story. So I played sports growing up my entire life. It's has the power to save and change lives, and it's done that many times for me. I ended up playing at Florida State University, which was amazing. Great experience,
Mm,
shaped my life forever. Monumental moment was as I'm the year before I graduated from Florida State and playing, the first iteration of the women's professional league folded. So all
mm,
dreams shattered, nothing to do, like what's next. So that kind of stuck with me. So everything I did post undergrad was building the women's game. So it started
mm,
with the Washington Spirit and DC United Women, the Girls Academy, founded that, and then served on the largest coaches association in the world, which is United Soccer Coaches, was president for that 6-year term. So I've always been really invested in creating these pipelines and pathways for women through soccer so they can have
mm,
opportunities that I didn't, but I grew up as an NFL kid, so I always saw all the men have these great opportunities, which was amazing. And I didn't know that women wouldn't have those opportunities. So take all of that experience. And then I'm sitting in Tallahassee, Florida, working on my doctorate. And I'm like, wait, what's happening with the girls? I'm like, what are we doing here? It was something that needed to happen. There's a ton of talent in Tallahassee, but then there's also this void in the country where you have high level college players that are looking to get scouted and want to go pro and they don't really have a good environment to be developed post college or between their college season. So that's in a nutshell, very condensed origin story there. I could talk for hours about it, but
yeah.
want to keep everyone's attention.
Let's talk about some of those gaps that you're mentioning, maybe from college to pro. Like what are you really sort of seeing that you wanna adjust and fix?
Yeah. So current time is that so we in the NWSL, USL on the soccer's landscape, we've gotten rid of the draft, which is a very American thing, which is
Hmm.
totally fine. But now it's trying to navigate the waters of okay, how or navigate the waters, but create the system of how do we scout players? Like, how do these college players get identified? How can we create more opportunities so they have the opportunity to be scouted? So that's part of the gap. But then the other piece is that you'll have, I mean, we know this, we have literally the best women's soccer players in the world. We have
Mhm.
historically, we had it in the past, we have it now. I know everyone's like doing a really good job developing women across the world now, but we have it here. So some of these players, they graduate college. There's thousands and thousands of players. There's a limited number of professional teams to play for. That doesn't
Mm.
mean that player's career is over. That means they still need a place to train and play to sustain until their opportunity comes to go ahead and play pro. So even though we're a very short window of playing in the summertime, it still is a landing pad for development and scouting opportunities for some of these other players that are in that. And we had 3 of our players signed to go pro
Mm.
after playing with us this summer, which is awesome.
What's the sort of largest challenge that you do see though? Is it obviously raising capital? Is it putting teams together? Is it having maybe even women think that this is an opportunity to actually go to, right? Just like where do you sort of see the big mountains that need to be climbed in this?
I think, I mean, from an entrepreneur standpoint, it's the capital because
Mm,
these players, they're not going to come in and pay for the development they need or the gym or that they're college students, right?
mm, mhm,
Or they just graduated and they need to focus on their craft. So the amount of money that we pour in to develop these players, because I firmly believe we're developing a human being, and that it's going to come full circle, right? Because of what we did and invested in them when nobody else would, they're going to take it back to their communities when it's their time and they're going to spread the word and shine. So capital is huge because a lot of people just don't put money into it, especially like this, the lower divisions. Like you see in Europe all the time, tons of people put money into it. Not really. It's very new. I'll say it's very new here, but it's a necessary fulfillment that we need to commit to.
What were some of those early battles that you had to face?
Yeah, early battles are one, it's you have to sell the story, especially if this is new to market. People don't know, and they're like, okay, well, that's cool. I think the biggest challenge we have in Tallahassee is that we only know Florida State women's soccer, and we
Hmm.
see that as being extremely successful, but then we don't see the connection from youth to college to pro. And since we're so isolated here geographically, we don't really know what those standards are across the country. So my biggest challenge was trying to educate and inform people of, whether that's stakeholders that are parents or players or sponsors, fans. It's like, wait, this you don't understand like how massive women's soccer is, especially all the money that's getting invested into it. These are legitimate career pathways for our players. So they deserve investment from the time they're young all the way through their adolescent journey into college and then into the pros. So education piece, bringing something new is always challenging with any startup.
Do you envision? So here I'm in Detroit, and we've got
Yes.
a really great soccer club here that, and my
Yes.
family goes down at least 4 or 5 times a year. It's like our favorite thing to do when we
Yes.
have out of
Yes.
towners. We go down. And for as many times as I've gone, I don't really understand actually the structure of what I'm actually watching. They're pros, but I don't know. It's like it's not like baseball. It's not. I don't think it's the minor leagues. So the reason I'm getting to this is, do you see yourself structuring a league similar to something like that, or having something that is your own, like it's your own kind of concept of professional sports for women and soccer, or do you see trying to mimic something that maybe already exists, like the Detroit team that we have here? Like how do you sort of just think about how do you sort of stand apart, but how do you also maybe look at what's working or not working and going, hey, we should try to do that? Like how do you sort of balance that?
Right. It always comes back to our number one value is our player. So
Hmm.
we base all of our decisions on what's in the best interest of the player. Again, we're in human development, right? Soccer's our is our vessel to do it, right?
Hmm.
But as long as it makes sense for the player development and the experience that they're going to have and it's going to shape them for decades to come, that's what we're going to do. So, but to simplify the answer a little bit more, we fit into the system of like USL, so that's what the league that Detroit City FC is in.
Hmm.
They have a phenomenal structure already in terms of player development pathway. So you could go from a youth player to a pre-pro player to, lower division to a second division to a top division team on the men's side. And they're building that out now on the women's sides. For us right now, we are in that youth academy where we develop players. We don't play in a league on our youth side because we don't think at this time it's the right thing for them and their player development. So we focus very much on the individual player because we want to develop professional players. Then on the pre-pro side, we're right there. So now the next piece of this would be, let's knock it out of the park with what we're doing youth to pre-pro on the USL side. And then let's continue on with building a pro side on top of that when the time is right. Sustainability for what we're doing right now is the number one piece, though, to get to that next level.
Do you envision going into like the high schools, or is your world more like the basketball AAU world where it's like the more of the club world? My son played club soccer forever, so that's what we kind of saw that path. We didn't really see high school sports in general
Yeah.
being a thing, but is it something similar to what you're seeing too? Is it
Yeah.
more like that than working with the high schools per se?
High school is really challenging. It's an unfortunate reality of where we are now of especially in like a AAU, like you're talking about basketball is that path.
Hmm.
It's like if you really want to play top, you have to play AAU, right?
Yeah.
Where back in the day it was, hey, play your high school sports and that's where you're gonna get scouted and recruited. That's just not the case anymore for women's soccer anyways. So high school I still feel is a very important component of the experience as a player because that's you represent your community in a different way than you
Hmm.
can
Right.
with a youth club. Now the youth club's
Hmm.
responsibility is trying to work with those high schools, the coaches and the players to say, okay, well let's manage your workload a little bit. Or if you have Like high schools, sometimes they have like 9 games in 15 days, and we're like, "Holy smokes." Like injury, 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 let's manage.
Yeah.
Like, so we do allow the players to play high school. We obviously do not own players, so they can do whatever they want to do, but we need to make them very aware of what they're putting their bodies through and when they need to rest more or when they need to deload or just how to manage their mind, body, soul, the fatigue that they go through so they can have a great experience but still come through as a better player.
Yeah. So it feels like a major theme in the vision and access is really around access and equity. It seems like that's a vision. If you could change one systemic thing that you're seeing right now in female athletics, what would you change if you could?
It's exactly that. It's access to opportunity, equitable access. So what we see and what we've seen through the history of professional sports in this country and the pathways leading to it, they are centralized around metropolitan areas. So
Mm,
good luck if you're in Tallahassee, Florida, or good luck if you're
mm,
in Dothan, Alabama. Like,
yeah,
you got to convince your family that might be farmers or whatever to go move to Tampa, Florida, or New York or LA, like where's the opportunity? So that is a problem that we've always had in the US is that we are a massive country, right?
yeah,
Mainly rural. So how do you bring access to opportunities for players in these areas? And it always comes back to money, which is really hard. So it goes back to the first question. Yeah, what's the hardest thing is
mm,
capital. And it's
yeah,
convincing other people, like these major corporations like Coca-Cola, like, what does $50,000 mean to you? Like, it means a
right,
lot to us and it will do a lot for us, but it doesn't, so if we can kind of shift the mindset of saying, hey, we want to actually impact people that get overlooked a ton, especially like these girls in these areas, that knowing that you reached out to them, you're investing in them when nobody else would, or that's brand affinity right there. They will be Coca-Cola for life. I have nothing
right,
against
right.
Coca-Cola. That's just the
Yeah,
first thing that
yeah,
came to mind.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that's the biggest systemic thing is that we invest where we know it's proven to invest. And we're not trying to change anything. We're not being intentional. We're just like, hey, money, money, money. And it's an unfortunate reality.
Let's talk about player care a little bit more because again, it's another thing that we've kind of talked about a little bit. How do you look at what you guys do that's different than other, pre-programs or other programs? Maybe say somewhat similar in your ballpark, but just how do you sort of think about this stuff as being different? Are they competitors to what you do in your mind, or are they just different?
Yeah, I think it's different. I think because of my own personal experiences from all sides of the field, what I see is again another unfortunate reality of we just churn and burn players for our own
Hmm.
agendas, and we don't really care about the human being. And I think that's been a real important missing component in sports from youth to pro for centuries, right? I think we're starting to get a little bit better with it across the board, but for us personally, we care about the player. That's number one. Whether they're a youth player or pre-pro player, it's, we need to talk to the parents, like make sure they know what's going on, how they're involved. We talk to the players, make sure that they have their own agency so they know how to advocate for themselves. Number one, like if they don't agree with something or they need to rest, then they need to come speak up and we make sure they know how to do that. We provide them with dietitian support resources. We provide them with mental health support resources. We provide them with trackers, technology trackers to make sure we're managing their load. So everything do is first and foremost to make sure that they are healthy as human beings and have a good relationship with us, but also know how to number one advocate for themselves and be really in tune to themselves. So that by far sets us apart from everybody and everything I've seen across the market.
Let's walk through a little bit, if you can, maybe this long-term vision, stadiums, housing, dietitians that you just mentioned. Like, what does it look like long-term in your pitch deck and your playbook right now?
Yeah. Long term is very grand. It is.
Hmm.
I heard a great analogy. I'm always like, "Oh, we're pushing a boulder up a mountain." No, no, you're trying to push water up a mountain. I'm like, "Yeah, that is it right there. That is tough." So, grand vision is if we were looking 10 years from now, what does this encompass? Now, please keep in mind that this would involve like other entities that we would have to seed fund. So, this isn't all going to
Mm,
be under Tallahassee Reckoning. So, I don't want to misrepresent
mm,
that.
yeah.
But we will have a full residential academy for youth, right? We will have a pro side. we will have everything that we've done on the women's side done for the boys' side too. So we're essentially a massive soccer market culture in Tallahassee, but it's going to be where the best of the best in the community come, but it's also going to be where the best of the best across the world come because they want to train and develop as athletes, but as human beings as well. So
Hmm.
that's the grand vision, which means facilities, whole nother ballpark of
Hmm.
we need the training and development facilities for the academy side. We need a stadium so the fans can have a great time. We need another training center that can be part of that to where we can host, FIFA clubs coming in when they're needing to train. Like if we had the facilities right now, they could come and train as they prep for the World Cup because Tallahassee is the best location because you're close to Orlando and you're close to Atlanta, but far enough away so you're not,
Yeah.
distracted by everything. So
Right.
there's a lot that we're going to be able to do, not just for the Tallahassee community, the athletes, but also hopefully shift some global and national perspective on how we can invest more smartly and for the players, but also for the game.
How do you measure success in all of this? Is it number of athletes in program, exit program successfully? Like what? How are you sort of measuring success in all of this?
Yeah, success is for sure like how many players do we put into programs? Number one, when do we get our first pro player? But I also want to see where our players go that choose not to play in college, right? So maybe they just needed soccer. Remember, sport saves and changes lives, right? So
Hmm.
maybe they just needed to be part of this environment, part of this team, so then they can be great academics or they can be great community leaders. It's for those kids, it's always success for me is always going to be, are they coming back to help? Are they
Hmm.
are they going off and telling their story? Right? That's what we want. The pro player, the pre-pro players that we have, same thing. Like, did they come in with us last year? Are they returning to us? Or did they get placed to go play pro? That's success. If they come back and if we keep them in the game or keep them in the community somehow, that's success for us.
Let's move over to fundraising in general. So currently, right now, you're running a WeFunder campaign, a Reg CF campaign. You're probably going to have lots of challenges for fundraising,
Yep.
just as every other entrepreneur. Walk us through maybe some of the conversations before launching a crowdfunding or a community round. What was that like? What's sort of the goals of it, and then where do you sort of see some of those milestones needing to happen around funding for you to do X, Y, and Z in the roadmap?
Right. Yeah. We Funder campaign. I knew of the success that Minnesota Aurora had and they
Hmm.
crushed it. And it to me, if they hadn't done it, I wouldn't have believed it. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm like,
Yeah.
who's buying shares for a pre-pro women's team? I'm like, this is
Hmm.
insane. And then I went down the rabbit hole. I'm like, well, what other teams are doing this? And I'm seeing teams in Scotland. I mean, they have some great ads. I'm like, the
Yeah.
own
Hmm.
a wee little Scottish club. I'm like, I want to own it. I'm like, this is great.
Hmm. Yeah.
But you see like fifth division teams, seventh division teams, and they're raising like $2 million. I'm like, this is insane. Oakland Roots and Oakland Soul did it. So
Hmm.
there was proof of concept there. And I loved the fact. So even before this, like when I was consulting for Otta football, we were like, what would be great if we had a community owned club like the Green Bay
Mm.
Packers.
Yeah.
Right? So, but could it actually be done in soccer? So it's always been in the back of my mind. I'm obviously, as you can tell, a very passionate person. I love investing in humans. And I'm like, well, I want everybody to feel this way. Right. So I think it's the We Funder campaign is honestly twofold for us. It's why wouldn't somebody want to be on this journey with us? Like it's so
Mhm.
exciting, it's so much fun, it's sports, you love it. The impact that you'll be able to see from a player's journey from start to finish is incredible. So why not share that? So WeFunder does that because it's scale, right? So it's not like
Mhm.
inviting your 5 best friends to do something. It's hey,
Right.
thousands of people can come in and do this, which is awesome. The second piece of that is obviously it raises capital, but it
Mhm.
affordably raises capital, and I'm not trying to be naive here that $100 is still a lot of money for some people. I totally
Mhm.
understand that. However, for others, it is a very manageable, buy-in. So it
Mhm.
helps us if we can hit the goals of our max raise, that helps us. If we weren't able to generate 1 penny of revenue, that will sustain us for 2.5 years. that gives us the time. And remember, my academic studies for as a doctorate student, were looking at startups and their failures, right? That
Hmm.
gives us the required amount of time to be able to establish the relationships that we need with partners and fans and everything else, merchandise sales to sustain. Like that gives us a time to build those relationships to sustain us. So
Mm-hmm.
2.5 years, huge. We have to create awareness. So this is getting out to millions of people. So 1% of the millions become owners. And it's
Yeah.
always a numbers game with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I always love to ask this question because I think it kind of boils it down to the most simplest thing, especially when we're talking the investment side of this. So Tallahassee Reckoning makes money how? Answer that question right there.
Yeah, we're trying. So we make money by tickets. Tickets, our business model is based on fans in the stands, sponsorships of the pre-pro team or also the academy team, buying merchandise. Who doesn't love good gear, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
buying merchandise. And then separately, we have a foundation set up. It's completely separate from Reckoning, but it's Tallahassee Reckoning Foundation that is your 501c3. Everything that gets donated to that goes directly into player scholarship fund. But total traditional sports model of fans in the stands, merchandise sales, and sponsorships.
That's great. That's great. Well, if people want to dive in, learn a little bit more, where should they go? How can they learn a little bit more about you, your story, the fundraise, the ideas? Where should they go right now?
Yeah, absolutely. A good old school website, tlhreckoning.com. It'll have every tab up there from our pre-pro to our origin story to become an owner. Everything's there. And then our Instagram page is probably the most active for social media if you want some fun photos and promos in there. And that's
That's great.
at TLH Reckoning.
That's awesome. Well, Dr. Ashley, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. For all my listeners out there, if you got to this part, you've done this before. We'll have all the links in the show notes for people to click on. This is an amazing story, amazing ideas and concepts. I love it all. Investing in sports is definitely something that is happening. We've seen it also on other We Funder campaigns. So I can see you kind of coming right on the old heels of that. It was really, really good. A really great conversation, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day. Thanks so much.
Excellent. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. And thanks for listening in, folks.